Hey everyone, we'll talk about HRM and during disaster, as in human resource management during disaster, and what kind of role does HR plays during disaster. So we need to understand what is the crisis management and what is my contingency planning. Crisis planning, planning for the crisis is contingency planning. Remember, this planning and the execution is all to be done by human resources, the employees perhaps. Evaluate the cost and benefits of contingency planning. Remember, contingency planning is an activity which is done for future, which does not have any kind of economic reimbursement, economic value per se, but then there are costs. If you can plan planning, if you have a contingency planning and you enact it, probably you can spring back to your original business mode much quicker, and that is where it scores higher. So discuss how far is it possible to plan for a crisis per se. So when something bad happens, when you have only three choices, there are only three choices. You can let it define you, or you can let it destroy you, or probably the best one is you can let it strengthen you. So please understand, anything wrong happening, any uneventful day or an eventful day, be it on a positive side or a negative side, it can only have three impacts. It can define you, it can destroy you, or probably it can strengthen you. Coping well or barely coping, that is an option. So I would opt only for coping well rather than be defining. So what disaster can you face? Probably this is your house. This house can be pulled down into rumbles. It can be reduced to debris within a short span of time, a span of time which might cost less than 1 minute of an earthquake, of a fire. So that needs to be understood. What disaster can your business face? Probably the flight of your customer. The flight of your customer, not because of your competitors' business strategy, but because of the change in the environment, complete change in the environment. And it can be due to major disaster, natural disaster. It can be due to because of very man-made induced disaster. It can reduce your business to a rubble. There will be no customers, no sale, and probably no profit because of no revenue. So you name it, we talk about it. We have 9/11. We have the virus that can infect your computers, your systems. It can be an accident. It can be a chemical spillage. It can be a war or a tornado that can wreak hazard all together. So disaster can strike you at your home. Disaster can strike you at your business. Disaster is waiting to happen. It is always better to be prepared than taken by surprise. So the whole industry country crisis, or whole country crisis. What are the individual company crisis? Can you write down certain examples? Probably industry crisis, if something is dependent on gas, prices of gas goes helter skelter, it goes wrong. The end product become pricier. Whole country crisis, if there's a war that has been ravaged around it. Individual company crisis, there might be influx because of a busy tourist season and there's an earthquake, the road gets blocked, there is a landslide in the road and everybody gets stuck. Your business goes for a toss in such scenario. Just an example that I've given you for each one of them, be it the industry, country, or an individual company if you're talking about it. So what is crisis management? It refers to the operations before, during, and after the event. That is what crisis management is all about. It anything in operations before, during, and after the event of the crisis. Contingency planning is about being proactive. Development plans before an event. A what if approach can happen. So, what can a business do to avoid the following disasters? Let's say, think about working in a headquarter of a bank and there's a fire in the building. So, you are working in a headquarter, you have a perfect desk job, a perfect office, but then something goes wrong in the tall rise building. The power supply breaks down. What will you do? How will you service your client? There's a virus infection in your system, in your network. How do you mitigate it? How do you service your client? There's a theft of equipment. There's something which has been, there's a bank robbery. Let us be bit blunt. And there's a customer data which has gone wrong, which has gone rogue altogether. There's a theft of customer data. Eventually, these are the events that might be beyond your individual capacity, or even probably the whole bank as a branch capacity. But this happens, and how do you go across it? What are the other types of crisis a business might face? Can be a hostile takeover, another company outrightly purchasing your company, faulty, dangerous product, probably you are manufacturing product without the knowledge that it leads to some dangerous misdemeanor when the customer utilizes it. There's a strike by the workforce, the labor union, the association, the various things are asking for a better wage or unjustified wages for say, but there is a crisis. If there is a workforce, if there is a strike by them, done for it. Physical destruction, let's say bombing, earthquake, physical destruction happens around it. Major customer withdrawing orders as if your bulk customer is absolutely fed up with your company. Perhaps there might be n number of reasons. One, there might be a delay in payment. Two, there might be another company which is offering you a better deal to your vendors, your customers. So what happens around here? How do you look into it? Last but not the least, you might be in a business of uh, let's say cooling, having an air conditioning business, but suddenly you find because of the temperature changes, the environment where you operate actually gets cooler and things have been changing around it. So you need to understand. Obviously, I've given you an example where the climate changes is happening around it. If you have an air conditioning business and the temperature in the environment overall dips, and in the rest part of the world it is increasing, it is affecting your business irrespective of what areas you're working around it. So that needs to be understood, what kind of crisis a person can face. So as a personal level, on a personal level, the leadership style, crises usually require a direct authoritarian leaderships, internal and external communication that is rapid, that is direct, external communication that is informative and probably being truthful. That is what we are looking into it. It's a leadership style and the way one carries himself during crisis, being upfront with what is happening, being letting it known as what kind of activities, things which have been or intervention which have been proposed and has been executed. That is what needs to be understood. You have to manage your internal customers. You have to also manage the media per se and have a balance altogether. So this can only be done through training and recruitment. Operations, particularly JIT, just-in-time storage warehouses. If it is on a just-in-time and then there is your order pending, but one of the missing blocks are still yet to be delivered. What goes wrong? How will your production hamper? So that is what you need to go around here. Finances, ad campaigns, environment cleanups, compensation is what we are looking for. This is what we are looking for. Marketing is public image under threats, ad campaign, promotion to increase the data, increase the sale. Why do we do marketing? To have more revenues, and that is as simple as it. Can crisis be avoided? Probably yes. Companies can have a contingency plan established in order for a staff to know how to deal when a crisis, when it occurs, as and when it occurs. Contingency plan content, what are we looking into it? It's a list of business function that needs to be noted down and prioritized, which is very important. A list of facilities, hardware, software, data, personal, other equipment that are vital to support those functions. So you need to have those contingency plans, a backup procedure if possible, a method of getting in touch with the right person, the key personnel everywhere is what your contingency plan. If there's a fire in the building and you don't have the fire departmental numbers, only God can help you, because a delay during disaster is only multiplying the impact around there. Recovery procedures, if the case might be, education and training of personnel involves in implementing the plan as and when it occurs, regular drills to test the effectiveness of the plan, keeping people involved and making them aware of the situation in cases some emergency creeps up, how to react and what to do. So contingency plan for human resources are the values and the limitation. Let's say the value is sense of security, which should limit damage, sense of security, speeds of recovery process, inform staff training as on when on post process. Preventive measures can be a part of CSR, corporate social responsibility. This is what the responsibility of the companies is all about it. Ensuring that not only your employees are safe, ensuring that your customers and customers are also safe enough. So if we are talking about sense of security, let's say we are into an automobile industries. If we make a sale of an automobile and the automobile goes on to meet with an accident, it should not lead to dire consequences. We should ensure that there are enough safety precautions inbuilt within the auto so that the lives of the people has been saved or can be saved. So that is what we are talking about. Is preventive measures can be a part of corporate social responsibility. Limitation, it can be costly, it can be time consuming, definitely yes. We are talking about opportunity cost, we are talking about things that needs to be reviewed time and again, things that needs to be reviewed and upgraded, things that needs to be reviewed, upgraded and updated, should be educated to the customers. Lack of predictability. Key steps in contingency planning, and what are they? First, what are the sources of your potential disaster? Some could be seen as business, some may be specific to the industry altogether. So please identify the potential disaster, if possible the sources thereof. Assess the likelihood of this occurring. This is one of the things that, if you are working in an industry and there is one of those component, one of those raw material which is very vital and it might be in short supply, do you have alternative vendors? So you need to understand what might go wrong altogether. So find the likelihood of it occurring and probably take preventive steps, minimize the potential impact, thereby plan for continued operations every now and then. So what is contingency plan? Let's say Cadbury withdraws product from China, from made in China. Why? Because it was infested with certain kind of insects altogether. Cadbury was fined in the European Union. Why? Even in the Americas, because they need to understand that the chocolate that they were producing was not up to the mark, which met the standard of the European Union. So identify the causes of each event, identify the potential threats, what action could be taken to prevent such events. Rank each event on a scale of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of seriousness for the future success of Cadbury. And I'm just giving you an answer for you, an example for you to understand what can go wrong with your industry. So, strategies, tactics. What if Richard Branson dies in an accident? What will happen to the Virgin Atlantic conglomerate React? What is your succession plan? That's one of the strategies. Let's say strategy tactics. You are a head of an ICT, information and communication technology at a bank, and a tape of all customers' data has been lost in transit. Come on, it can cause a loss into millions of rupees or billions of dollars or millions of liras or billions of dirhams or billions of euros, as the case might be. So yes, we are talking about strategy tactics. What would you do if the premises that you work in has been bombed or there has been fixation? So if there is a bomb in your center, in your town, how do you react? Strategy tactics. What are the implication of Pemex if the main fuel line breaks? What is the implication of if the electricity gets cuts off? If the gas has been cuts off, how will you react? You need to justify such kind of erratic situation. Probably the chances of it happening is less, but nevertheless, there is always a chance of happening. Keeping this in mind, you should have your HRM in disaster management. Your human resource management during disaster is very important. Keep them active, vitilated, and educated about what to expect and what to react and how to react. With this, I come to an end of this presentation. Thank you for watching this video till the end.